Welcome back, I'm George, and this is the complete review for the iPhone 16. In this video, we are going to cover the exterior design, internal components, display, the cameras, absolutely everything. Oh, and of course, we are also going to be comparing it to the iPhone 16 Pro and some other phones for better reference. But anyways, that being said, let's begin by talking about pricing and availability. Right now, in a normal store like Amazon, you can get it in 5 different colors, which are white, black, blue, which by the way is the one that I have right here, and my personal favorite. You can get it in green and you can get it in pink. And well, there are 2 size variants. There is the iPhone 16 with 6.1 inches, and there is the iPhone 16 Plus with 6.7 inches. Now, when it comes to pricing, they are priced exactly like they were last year, which I feel like is a fair price for a basic top-tier phone like the iPhone 16. Oh, and by the way, I left a link with the best price for the iPhone 16 down below in the description with the best price I found. So if at the end of the video you want to buy it or take a look, remember you have the link down there in the description. But anyways, that being said, let's talk about the exterior design, which is actually one of my favorite parts on the iPhone 16. And also, I feel like for the first time in a very long time, the basic iPhone, the non-Pro iPhone, actually looks premium. It looks like it's a premium device, a top-tier device. I mean, don't get me wrong, the old iPhone 15 also felt like a good device. It had aluminum, it had glass, it didn't feel cheap by any means, but the Pro phone has always had this sort of like more premium luxury feeling to it. And I feel like even though it's not as premium, the 16 is not as premium feeling as the 16 Pro, it does feel like a premium device, like a piece of like, I don't want to say jewelry because that's maybe way too much, but it does feel like it's an expensive phone and it looks like an expensive phone, which is, a little gimmick. At the end of the day, it's not going to change the functionality of the phone, but it's much appreciated. Now, that being said, there are not only design improvements, but also functionality improvements. Apple has once again improved the quality of the glass in the back panel and also of the front panel, so it's more resistant to scratches and to breaks or shatters. I always recommend you put a case on your phone because it doesn't matter how resistant the glass is, it is always going to be glass and glass breaks. But it's nice to see that Apple keeps trying to make it a little bit more resistant, so the likeliness of it breaking if you drop it is just always going to be less and less and less as time goes by. But yeah, as I said, don't get fooled by Apple's marketing. This is a glass device, so it is highly recommended you protect it just in case. Now, when it comes to the I/O and ports, we have also seen some very interesting improvements. The back doesn't have any improvements. We still have the same USB-C 2.0 port, which is very disappointing. We'll talk about it later. We still have the same speaker set, the same microphone. Well, not the same microphone. I think it's a little bit better, but the same 5G antenna band. And well, that's about it. Everything else has changed. As you can see on the right side now, we have a new camera button, which actually, as you can see, is very good to trigger the camera and to do other stuff, although I have deactivated those other functionalities because I hate this button. Something we will talk about later, but yeah, spoiler alert, I'm not a big fan of the camera control button on the new iPhone 16s. We get the same power on and off button, which is also good for activating Apple Pay and Siri, the same 5G antenna band on the side, the same no port layout at the top, and now we also get the action button that was exclusive on Pro iPhones last year. So we can now activate a range of different functionalities. In my case, I have it set to toggle the flash, but you can also make it open up the camera, open up any app with the shortcuts functionality. You can make it deactivate Wi-Fi, activate the Wi-Fi, turn on your blindfolds, open up your garage door if that's what you want. It can do pretty much anything you want. And well, also on the left side, we still have the volume up and volume down buttons, which are as satisfying to click as ever. and the same SIM ejector tool, which is actually not going to be available if you live in the US, because iPhones made in the US are eSIM only, so you won't have the option to put a physical SIM on your phone. Now, when it comes to the physical dimensions of the phone, it is 5.81 inches tall by 2.82 inches wide by 0.31 inches deep or thick. The weight is 6 ounces or 170 grams, which is rather light. I mean, it is also a small phone with 6.1 inches, but yeah, it feels very light in the hand. Which, by the way, now that I'm talking about the way that it feels, it still has the same satisfying grip we had on the iPhone 15. As many of you know, Apple had a very, very flat side for a long time with the iPhone 13 and 14. That was kind of uncomfortable to hold. I mean, it was very grippy and the phone didn't slip out of your hand, but it did feel a little uncomfortable. Last year with the iPhone 15, they tried improving on that design, making the side bezels a little curvier on the edges to make the phone a little bit more comfortable to hold. And they greatly improved the way that it felt, giving us almost the best of both worlds. It is grippy because it has flat sides, but it is also not uncomfortable because it has those slightly curved edges that sort of like make it not stick into your fingers, which was the main problem last year. By the way, I'm not sure why Shazam turned on. I'm sorry. I think it's because I have the double tap activated for Shazam. Yeah, there it is. I have this is for a topic for another video, but the iPhone can double tap and activate a functionality or triple tap and activate another functionality, but it's not very reliable, as you can see. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. If you want a specific tips and tricks video for the iPhone 16, please tell me down below in the description. But anyways, beyond that, the iPhone has IP68 water and dust resistance, as it's been the case since the iPhone 8. And well, that being said, let me talk a little bit more about the camera control button on the iPhone 16, which I actually have to activate because I hate it so much that I deactivated it so it didn't bother me when I was trying to take pictures. So, as I said, there is a new camera control button on the side of the iPhone. This basically helps you take quick pictures by just quickly launching the camera or quickly taking a picture when you press on the button again, which is great. I mean, that functionality I like and I have it enabled, but Apple chose to give us sort of like a new way to control the camera with this button. So if you light press on the button like this, you can activate a contextual menu that's going to basically give you the same functionalities you had with the touch controls, but with the button. So you can swipe on the button. It has a capacitive sensor, so you can swipe on it and choose different options like the choosing between cameras or camera styles or the tones or zooming. As you can see, if I choose the zoom, you can have a sort of like a zoom slider, so you can zoom in or out, but it is never as fast or as convenient as it is to just do it with the touch controls. Look at how much time it takes for me to zoom with the touch controls. It's really easy and simple. It's intuitive. If you want to actually, for example, switch between cameras with the camera control, you have to tap once. Oh, I'm on zoom. Double tap, go to cameras, tap on cameras, and then slide to choose between the different cameras. It always takes more time than it takes to just do it with the manual controls. And even worse, because that's okay. I mean, it's not the most functional, but whatever. The reason I've deactivated it is because I'm left-handed and I grab the phone like this with my middle finger resting right where the camera control button is. So when I grip the phone with a little too extra force, and I mean a little way too extra force, I automatically activate it. The touch controls automatically disappear. And then if I want to swipe it away, it changes from photo to video or from video to cinematic, which can potentially ruin my photo or video session, because if you're trying to take normal videos and you accidentally swipe to cinematic, trying to dismiss the menu, you can actually, or as you can see from cinematic to slow-mo, you're going to take the wrong video, potentially ruining the video. So yeah, it's rather concerning that Apple has designed this so poorly. And I feel like you should know this before you buy the phone, because I see a lot of people get overly excited about this feature. A lot of people buy the phone because, oh, the new camera control is going to revolutionize my photography. No, it is not that useful. And I highly recommend, if you don't really use it, that you turn it off, because you are at some point going to accidentally trigger it, which can ruin your photo session. So yeah, come here to the accessibility settings, camera control, and then on show adjustments, you just turn it off. So you can keep the same useful functionality of quickly launching the camera or taking a picture, but you won't get the accidental triggers or the weird camera menus instead of the touch controls. Now, that being said, I want to talk a little bit more about one of the components on the exterior design. As I said earlier, the iPhone 16 has a USB-C port, which actually opens up a lot of opportunities we didn't have before with the old Lightning connector. On top of being able to connect our iPhone to a display or to external storage, which we could do before with special adapters and accessories, we will be able to connect the iPhone to every single Android accessory available in the market. So if you have an Android phone or you had an Android phone in the past and you have some accessories for that Android phone, you won't have to buy the Lightning or iPhone versions of those accessories. You can keep using the Android accessories you had on your iPhone, like this external controller, and they are all going to work fine, thanks to, as I said, having USB-C. Now, that being said, the USB-C we can find on the iPhone 16 is not the same one we can find on the iPhone 16 Pro. The iPhone 16 has USB-C 2.0, and the 16 Pro has USB-C 3.0, which may not seem like that big of a deal. It's just one generation below, but it actually is a really big deal. The USB-C 3 standard is actually 40 times faster than USB-C 2. So, for example, on the iPhone 16 Pro or 15 Pros, we are able to record video, 4K video up to 120 Hertz straight into an SSD. And on the iPhone 16, we cannot do that. On the iPhone 16 Pros, we will be able to connect displays up to 4K 60 FPS. And on the iPhone 16s, it is only going to be up to 720p, which is a really bad resolution. It's not usable if you want to work on your display. But anyways, that being said, let's continue with one of the most important components, I feel like, on a phone, at least on the exterior part of the phone, which is the speakers and the microphones. As I said earlier, the iPhone 16 has two sets of speakers, one at the bottom and a very, very indistinguishable one at the top. You can barely see it up there. I have to use the right lighting so you can see it. It's barely noticeable because it's very thin. So we have stereo audio on the iPhone 16. And I think we have 5 different microphones. We have one at the bottom right here. We have one, I think, on the cameras. We have one, I think it's here where the top speakers are. There's hidden microphones all over the phone because we now get spatial audio recording, meaning we are not only able to play stereo audio, but we can also capture stereo audio with the microphones of the iPhone 16. Now, unfortunately, there is no headphone jack. That's been a thing since the iPhone 7. No iPhone has had a headphone jack since then. So yeah, if you have accessories that have a headphone jack, you're gonna have to buy an adapter from headphone jack to USB-C. But thankfully, it sort of makes up for it by having Bluetooth 5.3, which is the best standard for Bluetooth right now available for any type of device. So you're going to have very good connections with very good audio quality, very reliable. In that regard, you are going to have no issues. But anyways, let's put everything that I've said into practice. I'm going to play a couple songs from different genres so you can see how good the speakers sound for different types of sounds. And then I'm going to record a video using the microphones on the iPhone so you can see how it sounds compared to my professional studio microphone, which is the one that I'm using right now. Let's go. Okay, what do you think? In my opinion, these speakers are up to par with what we can see on the iPhone 16 Pro and 15 Pro, meaning probably the best set of speakers you can get on any phone right now. And you've probably noticed my voice sounds a little different. That is because I'm capturing this recording with my iPhone 16 instead of with my professional microphone. In fact, this is the way it sounds on the professional microphone. This is the way it sounds on the iPhone 16. Back to the professional microphone, back to the iPhone 16. Do you notice any major differences? I mean, I suppose the professional microphone is going to sound a little bit better, but I'm also sure that the iPhone 16 is going to sound great. I mean, I see many people upload, professional influencers and YouTubers and creators use this phone to upload and make all of their videos, both video and audio. So it sounds really good in my opinion. Now, there is a part of this test that I was not able to show you, which is the loudness test, mainly because it is very hard to convey how loud a set of speakers actually sounds, because you can actually lower and raise the levels in post-production. So you can't really get a feel of how loud the speakers are unless you listen to the phone in person. So I'm just going to give you my take based on my experience. They are incredibly loud. And the most impressive thing about this set of speakers is that they get loud, but they also maintain the clarity, the detail, and they just sound good and rich. A lot of other phones can get loud, but then they also get distorted and they sound worse. So yeah, combining the speakers being good quality, loud, and the microphones also sounding great, I think, yeah, it's a really good package. I mean, I was expecting it to be this way since it's a top-tier phone made by Apple, which really takes care of audio in their devices. Now, unfortunately, since this is an iPhone, there is not a lot of sound settings we can tweak on the phone. A lot of other phones, mainly Android phones, have, for example, an EQ, so you can tweak the sound to make it feel the way you want it to feel. In this case, we only get the basic ringtone selector, vibration selector, the noises you want for each notification type. The only cool thing that you can tweak in the settings is this, the keyboard feedback, which I always recommend you turn on, meaning sound and haptic, because that way you can actually feel the keys. You're not only listening to the sound, but you feel the press like you would on an Android phone, or even better, because it has that Apple haptic feedback that makes it actually feel like you're pressing on it, like you're typing. Now, there is another option that I recommend you turn on, which is headphone safety, which basically, if you tap here on reduce loud audio, is basically going to protect your ears from any noises that go above, in this case, 85 decibels. You can actually set it up to be 90, 95, 100, whatever you want. But if anything goes above these levels, the phone is automatically going to reduce it. And this is great because it almost prevents you from putting way too loud music or something that's way too loud. The phone is going to basically cap it so it doesn't hurt your ears, which can actually be really useful. But anyways, that being said, let's talk about the display, which is probably one of the most controversial components on the iPhone 16, because it is really good. I mean, for the most part, it has all of the high-end components you would expect. It has a 6.1-inch OLED display that's up to 2000 nits of brightness, so it is top tier in that regard. It has a really high-quality panel with incredible viewing angles. It has everything you would want. High resolution, in this case, it's 1175 by 2556 pixels with a 460 ppi density, which is really good, really high. It also, you are not going to notice by looking at it, but it has a improved ceramic shield protection on the front and the back, so it's more resistant to scratches and drops, so it's less likely to break or shatter. But what I was saying in the beginning, it has one very controversial component, which, well, not component, but spec. It has a very controversial spec, and it's that it has a 60 Hz refresh rate. Yes, in 2024, almost 2025, this phone still has a 60 Hz refresh rate, which, if we compare it to the godly, well, not godly, at this point, I feel like it's just normal. The normal, the basic, the default 120 hertz refresh rate we can see in pretty much every other phone right now, not just the Pro iPhone, but like every other Android phone, every other almost device that's not an Apple device has included 120 hertz, because at this point it is not even that big of a deal. It's not expensive to include. It doesn't take up that many resources. It's just something that should be included on every phone that's not like super budget. Apple, for some reason, has decided to not do it. And I'm sure there's many of you who are not going to care that much because you maybe don't notice the difference, but maybe you will at some point. I mean, it only takes one device, whether it is your tablet, your laptop, your display on your computer, your TV, to have 120 hertz, and for you to experience that fluidity, to not be able to comfortably go back to a 60 hertz display. So yeah, it is disappointing that Apple didn't include it on the iPhone 16. I mean, I'm done complaining. I complained with the iPhone 12, with the iPhone 13, with the iPhone 14, with the iPhone 15. So yeah, I assume now that Apple is just not going to do it, and it's fine because the people that are interested in buying this phone, a lot of them, most of them don't care, but I also know that some of them do. I mean, I was one of those people who just was fine with the normal iPhone. I like it. It's beautiful. Look at it. It has a really good looking design. It feels really good. It has all the components that you would need, but it has a 60 hertz display. And that's actually the only reason I bought the iPhone 16 Pro and that I'm going to use the 16 Pro. It's because I cannot use a 60 hertz display. Maybe I'm spoiled. Maybe I'm stupid for saying that, but yeah, I've got used to 120. I can't go back to 60. It feels stupid. It feels like I'm downgrading from my current phone. But anyways, that being said, let's take a look at the display in practical terms. Let's see how good it actually looks. I'm going to play a 4K video. Let's make sure it's at 4K resolution, so you can see, as I said, in practical terms, just looking at the display, how well, how sharp, and how accurate the colors look, as opposed to the ones you can see in real life, how vibrant it is, how bright it is. And of course, as always, I'm going to do it with the lights on, so you can see how the display looks with some light interference. And I'm also going to do this with the lights off, so you can see the closest representation of how the display actually looks in real life. Let's do it. Okay, what do you think? Please tell me in the comments. Let's now take a look at the display settings, although as I said, much with the sound settings, this is an iPhone, so there is not a lot of customization we can do. So you can see we have the basic light mode and dark mode. We can do it in automatic. We can adjust the text size. We can do bold text. We can change the auto lock. This is a great feature that for some reason is not on other Android phones like Samsung phones. You can set the auto lock to never, so the iPhone never automatically locks, which is the best option in my opinion. And then because this doesn't have 120 Hz LTPO display, it actually can't do the always on mode like the Pro phones. So you only have the option to brace to wake down below here. So it's kind of depressing. On the other Pro phones, we have a bunch more options, but on the iPhone 16, yeah, there's only the option to do which doesn't even work. Come on. It's an option that's supposed, there it is. It's supposed to wake the phone up when you move it, but it seems to work whenever it wants. Come on. I'm moving the phone. Come on. Wake up. It's not very reliable. That's the reason I have it turned off. But you have it. It's an option on the iPhone 16. As I said, don't take this as like a criticism to the phone in general. It's just that because it's an iPhone, it doesn't have a big amount of options for customization, but it doesn't mean the display is bad. Now, when it comes to security options for the iPhone 16, as it's been the case since the iPhone 10, we have Face ID. Of course, well, you can also use a passcode and no other security measure, but that would be rather slow, and Face ID is very fast and very safe. In fact, I'm going to set it up right now so you can see how fast it is, because it only takes a couple seconds. It recognizes your face, there it is, and then you have to do a circle all around the display, there it is, and in a matter, as I said, of like 10 seconds, you'll have your Face ID fully set up. You also have the option to go even further with more scanning to be able to use Face ID with a mask. But, well, thankfully the pandemic is over, so we can set that up later and start using Face ID in a matter, as I said, in a matter of seconds. It's very safe, very secure. I highly recommend you use it on your iPhone. Okay, now let's talk about the internal components on the iPhone 16. This year, we have very, very good news. The iPhone 16 actually jumped 2 processor generations from the A16 Bionic to the A18 processor, so 2 years better processor, so to say. And we've also jumped from 6 gigabytes of RAM to 8. So yeah, it is a very big improvement when it comes to the internal components. Now, of course, those are just specs and numbers. What really matters at the end of the day is the way the phone actually feels and the way it moves around the system and everything. And I'm going to show you now like a boot up test, app launching test, multitasking test, Geekbench test, so you can see the way it actually works. But before, I just wanted to give you my personal experience because I've actually used this phone as my personal device in preparation for this video. And I can tell you, first of all, it is the same as an iPhone 16 Pro when it comes to the way it feels and the speed. And it is also the same, unfortunately, as the old iPhone 15. If you have an iPhone 15, you're not going to notice that big of a difference. All these phones nowadays, top-tier phones, have spare performance meant for future-proofing the phone for the next 5 to 6 years. So right now, you are not going to notice any difference between any of the current iPhones. You would have to wait for 4, 5, 6 years to notice those differences. But yeah, this, when it comes to internal components, is a really good package. If you buy it today, you can actually get a really good phone experience for probably 5, 6, or 7 years. But anyways, that being said, let's put what I said to practice. I'm going to start with a boot up test in 3, 2, 1 to see how long it takes to boot up. I'm expecting very, very low boot up times because this is a new phone with it. The operating system is meant for this phone. iOS 18 was built for the new iPhone 16s. And it doesn't have a lot of apps. So yeah, as you can see, it took, 12, 13 seconds to boot up. Very, very fast. Let me actually delete all the apps from the background to make it as fair as possible. And we are going to start with the camera. As you can see, very fast. The weather, also very fast. The settings are immediate, as you can see. YouTube is probably going to take a little longer, but also very fast. Amazon, kind of slow. Amazon's never really been properly optimized for the iPhone. Let's do the App Store. Very fast. Let's do Instagram. There it is. Very fast. This guy's absolutely crazy, by the way. Let's do Call of Duty, which is probably also going to be very fast because it's properly optimized for the iPhone and because this is an iPhone 16 with an A18 processor. There it is. Took 6, 7 seconds at most. Let's do Subway Surfers. There it is. This game is also properly optimized for the iPhone, so there it is. But I'm not really sure why it's not a little faster. I mean, this game has been around for 10 years, and it always takes like 5 seconds to load for some reason. It almost took as much as Call of Duty. Let's do Asphalt 9, another very demanding game that's also very optimized for the iPhone. Let's see how much it takes. I mean, you can compare these results with the results you get with your current phone to see more or less how fast it is. But yeah, it is really, really fast. And last but not least, let's do Mario Run, which I think it's going to have to update. So maybe Mario Run, we're going to have to run it again. There it is. There it is. Okay. Now, probably what's even more important than the speed at which the phone opens the apps is how many apps it can hold in the background at the same time, the multitasking capabilities. So we are going to run all these apps again, starting from the camera, to see if they stayed in the background or if they have to reboot again. So let's do the camera, which seems like it was half open, half closed. Let's do the weather. It remained open. Let's do the settings. Probably, yeah, remained open. Let's do YouTube. Remained open. Let's do Amazon. Remained open. Let's do App Store. I'm not sure. Seems like it remained open. That was just a pop-up banner. Let's do Instagram. Remained open. Let's do Call of Duty. Seems like it was half open, half closed, much like the camera. I feel like demanding apps tend to do this, where they don't close, but they stay in those weird... Well, this is weird. I think this is a bug. So let's avoid it. I think it's a bug on the game, not that it's going to take that long to load up. Let's do Subway Surfers. There it is, remained open, very impressive. Let's do Asphalt 9, remained open, so you can see. And let's do Mario Run, which had to reboot again. Well, it was one of those apps that stayed... No, actually, not really. Not really. It remained open, properly opened, but it had to download an update to play. So yeah, very impressive results. And well, also very important, let's take a look at some numbers. Running the famous Geekbench 6 CPU test to see how fast the processor is with actual numbers. 3, 2, 1. Okay, there it is. These are the very impressive results. 3,200 points for the single core score and almost 8,000 points for the multi-core score. In fact, this is going to vary depending on how many apps you have on the background and the software update. So as you can see, I've had some other tests give me over 8,000 points on the multi-core score. These are very impressive results. I mean, of course, this doesn't mean it's going to be better than a phone that scores maybe a little lower. This is not everything, but yeah, generally speaking, this is the fastest by far we've ever seen on a phone. And the fact that we get it on the normal iPhone, not just on the Pro, is great. I really appreciate Apple giving us such amount of power for the normal iPhone 16. Now, that being said, I'm going to run a little gaming test for the iPhone 16. Not that it needs to prove its capabilities. I mean, for sure, in casual phone games like Subway Surfers, Mario Run, or any other casual phone game, it's going to do amazing. So I'm just going to straight jump into the 3D demanding games. As you can see, it is at 35 degrees Celsius, which is this much degrees Fahrenheit, just for reference. As you can see, starting with Call of Duty, we have it at very high graphical quality and very high frame rate, which is fine. I mean, if it was a middle tier phone or a low tier phone, I would start with medium or low, but it's an iPhone 16. It can handle Call of Duty at top graphical settings. This, as I said, is more going to be about how warm the phone gets when playing these games, because that's the main concern that I and most people will have with these kinds of devices. As you can see, off the rib, it feels incredibly smooth, even being at high ultra graphical quality. And for now, it's not feeling like it's getting any warmer. I mean, I've been here for a minute, so it should not get any warmer than it is right now. In 1 minute, that would be, oh, you're an enemy. Thank God I'm playing against bots. I mean, forgive me for not playing against real people, but I'm making a video, playing at the same time, commenting what I'm saying at the same time. So playing against real people would be way too much, like a sensory overload, if you may. So I choose to play against bots, which is a little easier, and that allows me to concentrate on, hello, what I'm saying, and on what is important, which in this case is how the phone feels and how hot the phone is, which is, I can tell you right now, after another minute of gameplay, hasn't increased its temperature at all. Oh, hello, another. Jesus, this is really easy. I mean, insanely, stupidly easy to play against bots. Maybe I should play against real people next time, but yeah, as I said, this is much better for my commentary on what actually matters. Now, that being said, to reiterate, the phone feels very smooth. I mean, I don't have a precise frame rate meter, so I don't know if it's at 120 FPS or 100 or 90, but I can tell you it feels really, really smooth. And I would guess or bet it is at 120 FPS. Now, when it comes to the temperature, it does feel a little warmer as it did when I started the match. So, I mean, it's understandable. It's a 3D game. I'm playing it at maximum settings. So it, of course, is going to raise the temperature of the phone, but it's not even close to warm. I mean, it's very comfortable to hold. It feels nice in my hand. How can I jump? There it is. Oh, I can stay here at the top. This is a great spot for killing enemies. They don't see me, but I see them. There it is. Okay, let's wait to finish the match, and then I'll show you the temperature results for this phone. Okay, there it is. Of course, we won 50 against 22. I mean, I was playing against bots. It's been around 6 to 7 minutes since I started, so I think it is a good checkpoint to see how warm the phone has gotten. There it is, and as you can see, wow, very impressive. It's only increased by 1 degree. That is really, really impressive considering this was a 3D game playing at maximum settings. Now, that being said, let's continue with Asphalt 6. As you can see, I will be playing at 60 FPS, and there is no more graphical settings to choose from. So yeah, I guess it automatically detects what phone it is and adjusts the settings for that phone. And to make this a little bit more interesting, I think I'm going to be doing 2 races on this game because I think the temperature is going to get worse and worse and worse as time goes by. I think it is actually the compound effect of a lot of time playing without any ventilation. That's what ends up making the phone get warmer and warmer and warmer. So yeah, maybe 5 minutes of Call of Duty is not going to be an issue, but 20 minutes of combined gameplay between multiple apps is going to be an issue, or not. Who knows? Let's figure it out. So I'm going to do this race, which is rather fast. What am I supposed to do? Okay, 1 race done. Let's take a quick look at the temperature on the phone. There it is. Okay, another degree. That was impressive. Seems like Asphalt 9 is a little bit more demanding on the iPhone 16. As I said, the reason I'm doing more than 1 match is because I have the suspicion that at some point the iPhone is not going to be able to take all the demand of the processor anymore, and that's what's going to raise the temperature. So I'm really curious to see how temperature evolves over time to make sure it's good both when you play for 5 minutes, but also when you want to play for a little longer, like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or even an hour. Or even more. I mean, some people will probably play for hours. Second race, let's take a look at the temperature. And okay, I see you, iPhone 16. It's actually, well, between the same as before and even lower. I mean, don't take this as like the ultimate proof that the iPhone 16 can take any game without raising the temperature, because there's some very demanding games out there like Genshin Impact, which I'm sorry, but it's going to kill your phone, whichever phone that is. I mean, Genshin Impact is a phone burner. That's mainly the reason I didn't test it in this video, because it's not a good representation of your experience with most games. That game is like a thing of its own. But yeah, if you're going to play casual phone games or even more demanding games like Call of Duty, you're fine. Like the iPhone 16 can take the heat, is able to play games with very good graphical presets without raising the temperature. Very impressive. Now, when it comes to the battery life, the iPhone 16 has received a massive jump as opposed to the iPhone 15. I'm not really sure what they've done because the battery physically is not that big as opposed to last year's battery. It has 3,561 milliamp hours, which is on the small side as opposed to other Android phones. But it's managed to give us like probably the best battery life I've seen on a compact phone ever. And this is comparing it to the S24, the S23, older iPhones. Maybe the only one that's better is the Pro iPhone 16. That, well, technically it's better, but it also has a bigger 6.3-inch display. So that's almost like cheating because it's better, but it's also bigger. So yeah, if you want a compact phone with 6.1 inches, the tiny iPhone, this is going to be incredible. It gives you really good battery life. And well, it also has rather fast charging. It can do 25 watts connected to a wire, which is good. I mean, it's not the fastest charge I've ever seen on a phone, but 25 watts is good. It's a good charging speed. Then you can do 15 watt wireless charging with a MagSafe puck on the back, which It's a little bit slower, but still for wireless charging, I think that's as much as you can go. And then you can also do 4.5 watt reversed wired charging, meaning if you have a USB-C cable, you can connect one phone to the other, and the one that has the most amount of battery life will start charging the other. So yeah, if you're out there in the middle of the forest or a mountain and you don't have a wall brick, you can actually share the leftover battery from one phone to the other. Yeah, it can actually be useful. I'm still mad at Apple for not making it wireless, because that would have been a lot better. And Android phones have had that feature for a long time, but you know Apple, they like to tease us and give us things 10 years later. Now, when it comes to my experience with the battery life on the iPhone 16, as I said, it is really good. I'm not a 2-day phone user. I always charge my phone at night, so I can't give you an experience for someone that would want to use their phone for 2 days. But based on the percentages that I had when I went to bed, I can tell you that's probably not going to happen. Unless you're a casual user that's only like texting people from time to time, which in that case, you can go above 3-4 days even. Like it can last a long time if you don't use it for heavy duty tasks. But if you're using TikTok and Instagram and taking pictures and using other apps, then it's probably going to be good for a day. It's going to be a solid day. If you want to play games, if you want to do something demanding, if you want to capture a video, it's okay. It is always going to get to the end of the day. Fine, unless you're crazy and you use your phone for like 11 hours every day. I think in most cases you are going to be fine. It has, as I said, it has a really good battery life. But anyways, that being said, let's talk about the software. In this case, it is iOS 18, and I mean, I don't hate it. It's a good feeling operating system, and it's fine. It's properly optimized, and it brings some new features that we didn't have before. But I mean, if you plan on buying this phone because you want to get access to the new AI features, Apple Intelligence, I have some bad news. All of those features that you saw in the keynote and that hyped you up about this new phones are actually not going to come with your phone pre-installed on day one. Some people right now, when I'm making this video, have access to some very limited versions of the features, of some of the features of Apple Intelligence, but only people from the US, only available in US English. Everybody else, especially if you're from Europe, are not going to have access to those features until like 2025. And even then, it's going to be some of the features. It's a complete mess of a launch for Apple Intelligence. So yeah, it is fine. I like iOS 18. It brings cool features. Like, I mean, you have now a lot more customization. You can put icons anywhere you want. The OS feels relatively stable, even though it's not the most stable operative system we've had. But yeah, the main flaw, I would say, it's that it doesn't have any of the headline features that were promised and that made iOS 18 so exciting. Okay, now that being said, let's talk about connectivity, because there's actually really good news in this regard. The iPhone 16 and 16 Pro both get Wi-Fi 7, which is the fastest Wi-Fi standard available on the planet. For reference, most people have Wi-Fi 5 routers in their homes. Some very geeky people that bought special routers have Wi-Fi 6. And then like 4 super uber geeks that are willing to spend hundreds of dollars on their router have Wi-Fi 7. So this is a great feature to have because it future-proofs your phone for the next probably 10 to 15 years. It is faster Wi-Fi, it is more stable Wi-Fi, and it's overall going to give you a better experience when navigating around the internet. Now, a lot of people think that only if you have a Wi-Fi 7 router will you be able to take advantage out of your Wi-Fi 7 phone, and here I am to prove that is not true. I'm going to be performing a speed test between the iPhone 16 and the iPhone 15 Pro, my current phone that doesn't have Wi-Fi 7, to show you the difference in speed and Wi-Fi speed that we can get with the Wi-Fi 7 phone. Let's begin with the iPhone 15 Pro. There it is, which has gotten a total of 36 megabytes of ping and a very okay result when it comes to download speeds, 30, 40. Okay, it's gonna get to 50, maybe 50. 55 megabytes of download speed, and okay, it's getting better with the upload speeds. Much better, if I may. There it is, 46, maybe not much better, 46 megabytes of upload speed. Now let's see how the iPhone 16 does. In 3, 2, 1, let's go. Seems like it is getting about the same ping, but it is okay. There it is. Come on, don't disappoint. Already at almost 60. There it is, 60 megabytes of upload speed. So, okay, noticeably, it's not huge. It's not like double, but it's noticeably better download speeds and also better upload speeds. Come on, there it is. Okay. Also noticeably better upload speeds. So yeah, of course, you're not going to get like double the speed you get on the same Wi-Fi network in the same placement. That would be ridiculous. But because it has a updated Wi-Fi modem, it is also more efficient at gathering the signal. It is more efficient and faster at receiving and sending data packages. And that, of course, is going to result in a little bit more Wi-Fi speed, even if you don't have a Wi-Fi 7 router. In my case, I actually have a very old Wi-Fi 5E router. So yeah, even then, I can see some improvements in terms of Wi-Fi if I get a Wi-Fi 7 device. On top of, as I said, future-proofing your phone for the next 10 to 15 years. Also, when it comes to connections, the iPhone 16 and 16 Pro have Bluetooth 5.3, which is the fastest and most capable and best quality Bluetooth standard available right now. So even though you don't get the headphone jack, you are going to be able to connect to headphones with very good quality in a fast and convenient way. And well, also something you need to know is that the iPhone 16 and 16 Pro have an NFC chip inside of the device that allows for NFC connections, but that is heavily capped by Apple, so you can only use it for Apple Pay. So if you double tap on the power button, you can activate your Apple Pay and pay with your phone. That is the only thing you can do with the NFC chip on the iPhone, unfortunately, because Apple capped it for literally everything else. Okay, now that being said, let's talk about my favorite component on the iPhone 16, the cameras. I believe this is the most complete package we've ever seen on a normal non-Pro iPhone when it comes to the cameras. And for the first time, I think ever, it is up there with its Android competitors. Because even though we still don't get a third camera on the normal iPhone, which has been a thing for a long time on other brands like Samsung, we have gotten some very interesting improvements for the normal iPhone that almost put it up to par with its Pro bigger brother. So yeah, I'm very excited about the cameras on this phone. Let's begin with the ones on the back. We have a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera, which is now way bigger and way better than it was before, on top of having, for the first time on a non-Pro iPhone, macro photography capabilities. So I'm going to be showing you some images right now. The iPhone 16 is able to take very up close pictures of objects with the ultra wide camera, which enables a whole new level of photography that was simply not available before. This is almost like having a microscope on your pocket. This, of course, it doesn't get to the same level of detail, but you can see a lot of detail on very tiny objects thanks to the macro photography capabilities, which, by the way, is one of the best macro cameras, and this is just my opinion, on any phone in the market right now. I've gotten some really impressive macro photography pictures with this iPhone 16. Also, a little bit below, we get the main camera with 48 megapixels like last year. That unfortunately doesn't have any improvements as opposed to last year. It has the same sensor and the same optics, so it's going to take really similar pictures, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Last year we got a very big improvement. The camera is now really big, almost as big as the one on the Pro model. So yeah, the results are almost indistinguishable between this phone and this phone. It is a really good camera. It didn't necessarily need an upgrade as opposed to the iPhone 15. Now, something you need to know, because Apple has been advertising the feature a lot, is that the iPhone 16 doesn't have 4K up to 120 FPS. Unfortunately, that takes a faster sensor, which is not available on the normal 16. It is only available on the Pro 16 Pro. So yeah, you're not going to get 4K 120. It is only 4K 60 FPS up to 4K 60. But regardless, yeah, every other new fancy feature is on the iPhone 16. Oh, and well, I almost forgot. The selfie camera is still 12 megapixels and it's still the same size and it has the same optics as last year. So the quality is going to be identical or almost identical. Now, that being said, we mostly get the same camera app we got last year on the iPhone 15s. We still have all of the camera modes right here at the bottom. We have pano. Well, spatial is new. Thanks to having a vertical orientation on the cameras, we can now shoot spatial video for the Vision Pros on the iPhone 16. So if you are one of the 10 people that have the Apple Vision Pros, you can now record full photos and videos for the Vision Pro straight from your iPhone and then play those on your Vision Pros. You have portrait photography, you have normal photography, you have video, you have cinematic video, slow-mo up to I think it's, HD, 1080p, 240 FPS, and we get a time-lapse mode. So not a lot has changed beyond the new spatial photography and videography mode. We also get a new filter system. So before you got your standard filters, you could just apply and take a picture with that filter baked in. And this year we get an improvement to those filters because we not only have the filters like, standard, vibrant, natural, luminous, well, the typical filters you get by default on your phone, but you can also adjust the intensity of that filter, so how strong it is on your picture or how much of that filter you want to bake into the image. But you can also change the filter. So you have this little like square where you can tweak the settings on the camera. I'm not really sure why they didn't add some information on what you're doing exactly. It seems like you're just randomly moving it around and seeing how it looks. You have some stats at the top, so if you move it, you'll see some of the stats change, but it's really random because you don't even know, like, if you move it up, what, I don't know. It's really strange, and it's not very precise. But you can play around, you can tweak it. If you don't like the way it looks, maybe you can move it a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, and get it just right. And if you're not really happy with the strength of the filter, maybe it is too strong, you can lower the intensity of the filter so it is not as strong on your image. But yeah, beyond that, we get the same controls. As you can see, we have some manual controls. We can select a timer for 3, 5, or 10 seconds. We can choose the exposure. We can change it up or down. We can also select the aspect ratio from 4/3 to square, which I feel like is an outdated format, to 16:9, which is rather strange. I've not ever seen any picture taken on this aspect ratio. You can activate live photos, which are sort of like a small video combined with a photo. As you can see, if I take a live photo, it's shown like a photo on the photo gallery, but if you press and hold, it shows like a little video. It's like a combination of both, just in case you want to capture a little bit more information to get a better memory, so to say. But anyways, that being said, let's move on to what actually matters, the photos and the videos. As always, I'm going to show you a lot of photos taken with all the cameras, a lot of videos taken with all the cameras in all kinds of conditions, outdoors, indoors, nighttime, daytime, so you can properly see how good the photos actually look. You can judge with your own two eyes how much you actually like the photos and videos that were taken with this phone. So yeah, I'm going to give you around 10 minutes of everything that I've captured in the past 2 weeks with the iPhone 16, and then I'll be back for some conclusions. Okay, so yeah, the iPhone 16 is a really, really good phone. It has the same price as last year, but it brings a lot of improvements. It has a much better processor. It has more RAM. It has a, well, I was going to say better display, but that's the only thing that it hasn't changed as opposed to last year. It has a better selfie camera, better cameras on the back. It has Wi-Fi 7, and it also has much better battery life. So yeah, I think it's a really complete package. It has a lot of new features, maintaining the same price. That's what I would call a good deal. So if you were looking to upgrade from an old iPhone or from any other old phone to the iPhone 16, yeah, I would say it is worth it. As I said earlier, you have a link with the best price. Listen to what I'm saying, the best price that I found on Amazon. You have it linked down below in the description. And well, now that the video is about to end, I recommend you go take a look.